about y'all come on in and let's have us another visit here on the Humble Show. I am Grant Fletcher, and I am being joined by my co-hosts, Moonbeam Hallows and Brandon Cox. Moonbeam back again. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
How are we feeling, everyone? Moonbeam, it's been, we were just saying, it feels like it's been forever.
I'm doing cool.
I missed y'all.
Feels like the first time, or reunited, and it feels so, one of those, whatever. We're going to get a copyright strike.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'm singing on the show, but you know what? We're punk rock like that. We'll do that. Stealing songs.
We will take this show to the ocean and broadcast it from the ocean.
There we go. We have news and notes that we need to talk about here. The big one is that Greg's been running this thing called Dollar Ben Collectibles for a long time on Whatnot, because he's got a lot of cool stuff working in the convention scene. And now y'all are just going to have a physical location over there in Neshoba County.
Yeah. Right. That's right. Right next door to the Grizzle Hizzle.
Yeah. Attached to the Grindhouse.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. He's been posting pictures of the progress. It looks really cool in there.
It does.
And just I don't know if you can find a store anywhere that has that much signed memorabilia in it, legit signed memorabilia.
I mean, there's a handful of places in Philadelphia. He's going to be competing.
I've never seen one. I've never been to one. I can't think of one where it is off the top of my head. But I mean, you're talking about, you got Funko Pops out there. You got posters, all kind of action figures, all kind of cool, anything you can think of. And a lot of it's not signed. A lot of it is signed though by whoever the person is. Man, it's a really impressive collection. And y'all are about to open that up in Neshoba County, Mississippi.
Right. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Dollar Ben Collectibles. BEN is in Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
Man, that's dope. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see it whenever it's all done.
Well, come
Absolutely.
on.
Come on. It's going to be exciting. Oh, I see. Well, we were talking about some stealing songs. Do we have some song recommendations for us?
So some stealing songs?
No, we were talking about, we said stealing songs. So do we have any song recommendations?
Okay,
you might have one? No?
I got one. Yeah.
Okay.
The song I do believe is called "Love Will Save You." Yeah. "Love Will Save You" by the band Swans from their 91 or 1990 or 1991 album "White Light from the Mouth of Infinity." It's a really good album. I bought a box set of theirs that had this album and their next album, Love of Life, I believe it's called. And this was from an era of Swans. It was at first they were very no wave noise rocks, a lot of screaming and growling and and then they became a lot more experimental. And then they had their major label flop. It was a gothic world music album. I like it. It's good. But it flopped. It was their major label flop. And then they released this, and it's a lot more goth rock, and so as a result he has a very monotone, dreary goth delivery. But then the last third, the last half of the song is very upbeat and glorious and wonderful. It's a nice little balance. You got the hardline goth stuff, and then you have beautiful crescendo. It's nice. I like it.
That's cool. I love that. Love all that. Yeah. Brandon's been you usually have two for us, but you've really brought the heat the last couple of weeks with what you're bringing. So y'all check that out by Swans. Movie. Do you have one you want to share with the class?
Just listen to any of Swans.
Yeah, I guess so. So the other day, Lola Mae and I were closing down the store, as we do, and I was like, "Hey, what you want to listen to?" And she was like, "I want to listen to that song." And it's about that guy. It's the guy. He's got dreadlocks, and I think the album's green, and something about riding a bicycle. And I was like,
"Whoa!"
I don't know what you're saying.
Is that Chromeo?
Nope.
No. Okay.
She was talking about, and it has nothing to do with the bicycle, but Greg was able to say, "Are you talking about?" And then he said the song, and she was like, "Oh my god, how did you figure that out? That's it." And there's no bicycle in the song, but when you listen to the song, you can imagine yourself riding a bicycle. Oh, like whatever. Anyway, passing me by Far Side.
Ooh, the Far Side. Yeah. That is a killer song, killer album.
Yeah. So that's what she wanted to listen to, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that is a good song." But
Okay,
anyway,
so
there you
funny
go.
thing, that song was on the soundtrack of. Okay, no, I thought it was. Okay, in my mind at first it was like a BMX game for the PS2. It was Aggressive Inline, an inline skating game for the PS2. It would have been perfect had it been a BMX game.
Well, then it would have all made a full circle.
It would have
Yeah.
all come full circle.
They really spent a lot of time trying to recapture the lightning in a bottle that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater captured, and it just didn't work out quite the same like they wanted it to.
Aggressive
Some of them were
Inline
fine games.
had a.
They were fine.
Yeah. But
There
yeah,
was
nobody.
a game. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, nobody surpassed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
There was a game for the Sega Genesis called Skitchin', and it was a rollerblading racing game. But it was kind of like I don't know if you ever played Road Rash, the dirt bike game, but
yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like you raced on the streets, and there were cars, so you'd have to avoid cars, but you could also like skitch. So you'd catch onto the back of a car and use that car to help like propel you. But like other skaters could also get on the back of that car and you'd have to fight each other off of the car. So that was skitches. Anyway, that kind of, I don't know why that made me think of that, but I do remember playing that a little bit, and it was, I thought it was fun at the time, at least. It may not be that great in retrospect, but it was cool now. I'm going to recommend something to the folks out there. If you were into the 2000s emo, maybe perhaps post-hardcore scene. Brandon, I told you about this band not too long ago. I discovered them just randomly. They're called Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
And they're a newer band. I don't know exactly when they came out. They don't even have like a Wikipedia page, and I haven't looked enough to see where they're from, but I've been enjoying their sound. And the song is called Weight, as in like, WEIGHT, as in heavy weight.
Yeah.
It's a good tune. The whole EP that it's on is very good. I'd recommend that. But I think that's like the first song of theirs that comes up on Spotify. It's a really good tune. And like I said, if you're a 2000s emo kid, you're going to enjoy it.
You're going to like it.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's a very good time. Yo, we had this discussion a little bit earlier today where we were talking about just like what are things that people nerd out over that aren't considered nerdy things, right? Like, we think of, comic books, that's a nerd thing, right? Video games, that's a nerd thing, right? Anime, Pokemon, whatever. I mean, like there's just a number of things that you say that's a nerd thing. And of course these days, like it's cool to be a nerd. It's fine. It's more accepted than it was before. Time was, it wasn't. But the thing is, like, everybody nerds out over something. Everybody has that thing they nerd out over. And it may not be a thing that is stereotypically a nerd thing or considered a nerd thing, but we all have that something in our lives. And the question for you is, Humbl3 Fam, like, what is the thing that you nerd out over, and what is it that is it something that you would consider to be a stereotypical nerd thing, right? So, I mean, what are some of the things we threw out some ideas earlier about what could be that thing?
Well, but right now, the weather, there's a lot of weather nerds out there.
You got that right.
That are really, they're real happy to talk to you right now.
Oh yeah. Loads of what do they call them? Dum-dums who believe that old Joe's got a weather box, and he's sending the weather.
That cloud mapping. What is it?
Cloud seeding, I think, is the thing.
Cloud seeding. Yeah.
How does that work? Look, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm just going to say you do know how you sound. right?
Yeah.
Look, that's all I'm gonna say.
If hurricanes were hitting Maine, I'd probably be like,
I'd be like, that's unusual.
Old Joe's playing with the weather box again.
Yeah, whenever a hurricane hit Florida, and Florida is a state that gets hit with like every other hurricane typically. I mean, you're not like, oh wow, I can't believe another hurricane hit Puerto Rico. That just tends to happen.
Yeah.
I live in Louisiana. I'm not gonna be like, wow, I can't believe we got hit by another hurricane. I'd be like, wow, I don't care for this at all.
Like,
it sucks, God, but also I expected it to happen. That's just my take on the I mean, of course, like, it's crazy what's going on. We're not even commenting on that right now. We're just talking about the fact that people are talking about, the weather. All of a sudden there are people that are meteorologists that have never gone to school to be a meteorologist.
They're not even like nerding out. They're just like dumb and have no filter.
I don't know. I feel like there's some. I wasn't really talking about those guys. I'm really talking about like the. There's a lot of like real, legit, like. I went to school for meteorology, and here's my time to shine, kind of thing.
Oh, I know a guy like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We might be talking about the same guy. Who knows?
Brandon's like, no. Here's the thing. We were talking about the same person. As a matter of fact, it's a small town, y'all. We're probably talking about the same person.
I'll go ahead and tell you, if, the guy that I'm thinking of back in high school, he had a nickname called. His nickname was Scratch Nuts. They would call him Old Scratch, or they would just call him Scratch Nuts.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he has opinions on the weather now.
Oh, okay. Man.
Oh, good Lord. Well, sounds like a real reliable source.
Yeah.
Stand up kind of individual.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get a nickname like that, but
I forget.
The imagination wanders. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Brandon had one friend named Grandma.
I think we might have talked about him.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. I don't know if we talked about him on here on the show, but that name has come up before and I know that because you don't tend to forget a name like that.
Yeah, no.
You can just guess how he got that name, though.
But
it's not good. Let's move on.
Again, the imagination could lead you there, I'm sure, but I'd rather not dwell on it. How about that?
Yeah.
How about it?
Yeah.
Well, what else are we talking about? Is there's something else we've mentioned? Somebody mentioned Moonbeam. You mentioned Lego.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had, like, at our past events, a lot of like Lego booths, or even like Lego just expo guys are showing off what they got.
Yeah.
There are some, they bring. I've seen some. I haven't seen any that have just been like super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Like, MJ and I, we play the Lego Marvel video game a decent amount. And at Alabama Comic-Con, like you said, we had that vendor there. And I was like, I'm going to go over there and buy her some little Marvel figures. And they had some kind of deal. It was like this many for like $20 or whatever. I thought that was good. So I just picked some of the characters from the game, and they threw them in a bag. And then they're like, oh, yeah, here, and we'll give you like a handful of random accessories with them, too. And they threw that in the bag.
Oh, that's so cool.
Which I thought was cool. And I brought it home, and she was thrilled, like absolutely thrilled. Like, it was the only like item in the house she wanted to touch, like for several days, and she was like bringing them on the ride to school to entertain herself and stuff like that. So, awesome. It starts young. What did I say? Ages 9 to 99.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter just got all of his Legos taken away about a week ago.
Yeah. That's
can't play with them anymore. He's done. So
yeah.
Is that what happened? Did he turn 100 or did he
turned 100?
No, he turned 100 years old. Okay. They won't let him pass away, Moonbeam.
They won't. Yeah.
He's been in hospice for over a year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I saw pictures, and at first I'm like, are these AI generated? Because like they brought him out on a like a hospital bed and like to enjoy the weather, which that's nice for everybody there, I guess, but he's not cognizant. He doesn't know.
Is he? Is he not? You know, he was a rad guy. You know, he did the Habitat for Humanity. Like,
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
solid guy.
And he
Solid
would go
guy.
out there and actually do the work. Yeah.
yeah, he did it up until like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very recently did he stop.
Maybe a couple weeks ago he stopped, and he was like, "All right, I'm about to turn."
I just
and up until recently, he was playing with Lego too. It's you know, all bringing it all around. But yeah, I mean, I also think like that's one of those things too. That there's even people my age that you see like they're in the aisle, they're in the Lego, they may not be getting something, but they're looking and they're thinking about it. You know, and I mean, there's plenty that do, and that's great. But there's also a lot of people who aren't into it that they think about it real hard. They're like, today's the day. I'm gonna go get that Death Star kit.
Yeah, those are pretty expensive.
They are.
Oh, for sure.
They are.
Sure.
But they're
You know,
so like when you build them, it's like, oh, I get why. There's a million pieces in here.
Yeah, Stephanie and her husband got her like the Millennium Falcon. She's like, "What am I gonna do with this?"
You see, you said the Millennial Falcon.
The Millennial Falcon.
There's Darth Vader in there.
Dark Vader rode on the Millennial Falcon.
Don't forget about Dark Maul.
Did I say it wrong?
No,
we're just joking around.
Oh, but yeah, you know, because it's like 4 feet wide or something once it's put together.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's massive.
And let me tell you, people might feel differently, but I adore building Lego sets.
Yeah.
But once they're built, it's just like, man, what do I do with this?
Yeah, this thing's
piece
taking
of
up some
plastic
space.
garbage. Like this thing that I aspired to make is here, and I don't want it no more. That's all my choices in life.
That's the thing, because Neil, my daughter, she wants a really big Lego thing to put together, because she puts them together really fast, and she wants something that's going to take a while and something real big, and she was asking for she wants Hogwarts. She wants to put that together, but I was like, where are you going to stow that once it's together? You know, what you going to do with it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, are you just going to take it apart and put it back in the box and then maybe rebuild it again one day or something or whatever? Because I've heard of people doing that too. You know, I went to the Lego store in downtown Disney, right outside of Disneyland, and it's impressive. I mean, again, like that doesn't exist without the Lego nerds, you know, and they've got this big reenactment of the Toy Story scene where Woody and Buzz are riding on the RC car with the bottle rocket on it. Out in the front, built out of Lego. There's a dragon that snakes through the whole building, built out of Lego. There's a Darth Vader that's like looking down over everybody from the whole thing. I mean, it's an impressive store, and it's all just wall to wall, like everything. And Bionicles too, Brandon. By the way, just so you know.
Oh hell yeah!
And there's a little station too where this has like little odd pieces for the little minifigs, the characters.
Yeah.
And you can go in there and build a character. So I just built like the wildest, craziest one I could build.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was worth it.
Right on.
Sounds real cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think my thing that I absolutely adore, that like people get nerdy about, but is not like these days considered like canonically, I guess, you know, mainstream nerdy, and never will, thankfully. I enjoy old, peculiar, strange, esoteric technology. No matter how insignificant it might seem, it always tickles my fancy. And in this world of billion-dollar companies commodifying the things that used to be considered nerdy and now is fairly soulless, it's nice to know that old technology can never really be commodified in that sense. Just before we hopped on today, I watched a video. Apparently, Korea had an audio CD format where they could put 24 hours worth of audio onto a CD. which is insane to me. I love that. Like, because, back in the day, you had your MP3 CDs, you had your CDRs, which you could put, up to like 800 megabytes. 800 megabytes. You could put 24 hours of audio on a CD, given the bit rate was pretty bad, but like spoken word stuff and things of that nature, you could put it on there. It could go for 24 hours. The example that was shown in this video was it was 1/3 of the Bible. It was really, of course, it was in Korean, which, I mean, that's how I like to consume my.
That's the preferred most around the world, to listen to it in Korean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, the biggest church in the entire world's in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Good. They need the Lord, but I love niche, peculiar technology like that. I'm trying to think, like friend of the show, Lee Must Die. His grandfather is a huge ham radio shortwave nut right now. Like, he has his own, like, he's like he has like his own like antenna that he's run. He is he's licensed, so he can like actually broadcast. And it's great to see him. Like, you can get broadcasts from anywhere in the world. You can join in. It's so cool, like the idea. And like, I knew this girl a few years ago. She actually worked for CNN International, but she would get up at like 1 or 2 a.m. some nights and like get on her shortwave radio and like jot down the channels that she could get at that time, because of course shortwave radio at night, you don't get interference from the sun. The radio, you can get stations from like Russia. It was really cool. And like, she was like, she showed me her journal, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, I could see how you could really nerd out over that, and really like get into the details, whatever. I mean, I like 3D printing, and there's a lot of nuance in that.
Yeah.
Just playing with a printer. So I could see how that could be the case with the radio as well, the shortwave radio as well, too. Yeah. Like, that really does make sense. And there are, you hear about hobbyists or whatever that pick up on that. There's that movie, The Bank Job. Have you seen that? Jason Statham?
I have not.
And it's loosely based on a true story where some guys, they drilled into dug their way into a bank vault from like a shop that was next door. Like, I guess they rented the shop out or something, and like had a storefront, and like got into the bank vault or whatever. But they were discovered because they were using walkie-talkies, and like a hobbyist with a shortwave radio like picked up their walkie-talkie conversations.
What a mark!
Yeah,
and that's part of the crap.
That's part of the that's in the movie there as well. It's a pretty fun movie. I remember.
Like, dude, the bank is insured. Just let them do it.
Yeah. So, that was the or it might have been like safety deposit boxes or something like that. Specifically, the deposit boxes. So
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a pretty good movie. It was like a 2000s, Jason Statham movie. So that gives you an idea of what it is. What's that?
That sounds really appealing. I hope that the guy with the shortwave radio was Newman from Seinfeld.
Well, it's a British movie, so it was not. But yeah, doesn't
well, that's a shame. That was their mistake right there.
You could see Wayne Knight operating the radio. Yeah, especially with the way like things went down with him with the CB and Jurassic Park and all that stuff. So anyway,
yeah,
you were gonna say, I was gonna say, because we talked a little bit about baseball cards. I mean, there's plenty of people that are way into sports cards in general.
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely.
And that's definitely its own topic there for sure. But you shook something loose for me too, Brandon, because there are a lot of VHS nerds out there.
Oh, for sure. And I think anytime that's brought up, I think if people don't know already, they need to know. There is a group that is building a temple out of Jerry Maguire VHS tapes. You send them in, you find the Jerry Maguire VHS tapes, you send them to them.
Okay.
And they're building a temple.
Okay. This is a real thing.
Oh, absolutely.
There's just that many VHS tapes of Jerry Maguire that people are no longer enjoying.
Oh, absolutely. And you
Yeah.
send them to these people, and they're making a temple.
Man, that reminds me of, we're getting off topic here, but there was this, E.T. is regarded as being the worst Atari game of all time.
And it's really not, actually. But
yeah,
anyway.
no, but yeah, I get what you're saying, but a lot of people think it was the worst one of all time. And there was this story that went around that they just had like thousands of copies buried in a landfill somewhere of this game that they just couldn't move. And then for a while it was regarded like, well, that's actually a myth, like that didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. And then a few years ago, they found the landfill. Like, oh, it wasn't a myth. It was real the whole time. They really did just bury all these copies of this game that no one wanted.
I'm going to tell my kids they did that with DVDs of Norbit.
Yeah. Humbl3 Fam, let me know, do you still have how many VHS tapes do you currently have in your possession, like if you have any, and what are they? Tell me the movie. I want to know what it is you have on VHS right now. Some people have way too many. Like I said, there's plenty of VHS nerds out there. I think that's cool. I think it's a dope thing to collect. And then also retro gaming specifically, like we said video games, retro gaming. I mean, there are people who will go out of their way to find like the biggest CRT TV that they can find, and just to play like a retro game the way it was supposed to be played.
Yeah. I mentioned.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I got a VHS story.
Okay.
We had a little flea market, not a flea market, but a little yard sale or whatever, and we had just this box of tapes and VHS tapes, and Greg brought over, and I didn't realize that it had like my old VHS tapes in it. And this guy came over and bought 43 VHS tapes, and I was going through them, and I saw that he had my copy of The Willies with I don't know if you've seen that, but it's got Sean Astin.
I think we've talked about it before. Yeah.
Kirk Cameron, yeah, and Donkey Lips and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, oh man, Greg, you sold that one to him. That was mine, you know. And Greg tracked this guy down, and he was selling it on Whatnot.
Whatnot, yeah.
And Greg bought it back. So
you mentioned that, yeah.
That's true love. You know, that's what that is. That's true love. When someone will go and rebuy back your copy of the Willies.
Yeah. Because I was a little butthurt over it. I was like,
that's what marriage is all about. Yeah.
That's my copy of the Willies.
That's right.
A few years ago, I went into a really, really bad thrift store. Like it was the kind of thrift store that had a section for like orphan shoes, not shoes that belong to an orphan, or it might have been, I don't know, but like it was like single shoes. Like that just kind of like goes to show you what sort of items they offered throughout the store. It wasn't good. It was a bad place.
That's for one-footed people.
Yeah, but they don't deserve shoes. But they that God punished them. They don't deserve shoes. But so I mentioned Swans a little earlier. I found a CD copy of that like major label flop, The Burning World. But then, in addition, I found a VHS copy of the Manos Hands of Fate episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 on VHS. I have found the cursed video.
This shit is so boring. It's even hard to watch with their commentary.
Yeah.
I've said, like, you know, I heard, Jonah Ray wasn't on that one, but I've heard him say, like, there were movies that almost broke them.
Yeah.
And I imagine that was probably one of the ones that almost broke them, you know, like, and I've said before too, man, you can have a bad movie. You can't have a boring movie. Having a boring movie is worse than having a bad movie.
Yeah. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring and bad.
But I want to know, Humbl3 Fam, what's the thing you nerd out over? I really want to know, what's that passion of yours that you just got to have in your life that maybe isn't considered a nerd thing, but still, like, you know, it's that thing that if someone brings it up, this is all I'm talking about at the party for the rest of the night. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I do have a trivia game that I want to play.
Let's play.
I've done this one at my live trivia nights, but I don't think we've done this one before. It's called Cameo. Oh, no, you didn't. We know what Cameo is, right? Cameo.com.
Yeah, excellent band.
You can go on there and you can. Have we played this on here before? I don't think we have. You can ask celebrities. You can pay celebrities to make like little greeting videos for like a birthday or a pick me up or anniversary or whatever.
Yeah.
And they all have different prices they've set based on demand, based on what they want to charge. And so I've got a list of celebrities here. And I'm going to give you two at a time, and we're just going to go back and forth between the two of you. And I'm going to see if y'all can guess who charges a higher price on Cameo between two. So it's a 50-50 shot. And tell you what, I'll let y'all figure out who do you want to go first, because we're going to do this one at a time for both of y'all.
Brandon can go.
I'll go first. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I've got some on here. Before we get into this, yesterday when this came up, someone said, well, Grant, who would you want to get a Cameo from? And I said, you do know what I do for a job, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I was like, yeah, whenever you like get to like talk to these people that are on Cameo a lot, like as part of your job, kind of, for me in particular, kind of loses its appeal. But I know a lot of people that have gotten them that really, really like them and really enjoy them. So we're going to indulge in that a little bit here. So Brandon, you're going to go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The first two I'm going to give you are Kevin Smith or Kevin O'Leary, a.k.a. Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
I would say Kevin O'Leary charges more.
You think Kevin O'Leary?
Yeah.
That is correct. Kevin Smith charges $500 for a Cameo. Kevin O'Leary charges $1,500 for one video.
Man, that kind of disappoints me about Kevin Smith. I was thinking you were about to say $5. Not because he doesn't deserve
If he was charging $5, he'd be doing them all day, every day. That's
but not because he doesn't deserve more. He just seems to be like more of a man of the people.
I mean, he is, but I would imagine that his demand is pretty high. So you have to, you have to do that.
I feel like that's Kevin Smith.
My plan would be to, like, if it was $5, just pay him until like I got enough Cameo pieces to put together Mallrats 2.
Yeah. Well, and maybe he might.
Yeah.
The next one here, I'm gonna go with Moonbeam for you.
Yeah.
Ice-T or Vanilla Ice? Who's charging more?
That's a hard one.
I don't know. Ice-T probably charges more.
Moonbeam. That is correct. 1-to-1.
Oh.
There. Vanilla Ice charges $3.99.
Yeah.
Ice-T.
Yeah, he's friends with the Turtles.
Johnny Huang. Yeah. The Cowabunga Factory. Yeah, they do shows with him.
Yeah.
Wait, how much does Vanilla Ice charge?
Vanilla Ice charges $399. Ice-T charges $600.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you know what that is? That's the Law and Order SVU bump. Yeah, that's the I don't want to tax, but it's also the Law and Order tax.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When you've been on Law and Order for 20 years, you can kind of demand a little bit higher price. All right, I've got two for you here, Brandon.
All right.
Mara Wilson, who played Matilda, or Dante Basco, who played Rufio in Hook.
So Mara Wilson was on an episode of Behind the Bastards that I listened to recently, and she seemed really down to earth. She's got a lot going on these days. She's incredibly smart, and she writes really great articles these days. I would say that it is the person from Hook that charges more.
Dante Basco? Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah.
Mara Wilson charges $80. Dante charges $88. So pretty close. But 2-1 Brandon so far. Moonbeam, let's see what happens here. I got a couple for you as well. Noel McNeil, who is Bear in the Big Blue House, or Bob West, who was the voice of Barney the Dinosaur. All right, well, we had a weird technical issue all happen at the same time. I had something on my end, and then Moonbeam had something on her end. And then
Look, there's no need to fib. We can tell our viewers the truth. I mean, she left because she was crying because she was losing so bad. And she went wah all the way home.
That's right. You know, sometimes it's just rough like that. You know, when in the world of the trivia game. Tell you what, let's do this, Brandon. Let's see if you can get the rest of these. Okay, I want to see how you handle these. Okay.
Here we go.
I have Exhibit or Chanel West Coast. Both rappers, both MTV personalities.
I would say Exhibit charges more.
It's actually Chanel West Coast by $100.
Really?
Exhibit charges $225 and Chanel West Coast charges $325. Very much so. True.
I should have gone with the Subversion.
True. Okay, what about this? Tom Welling, who played Superman in Smallville, or Dean Cain, who was Superman in Lois and Clark?
Ooh. I'm going to say that Dean Cain charges more.
Okay. That's actually incorrect. Tom Welling charges.
Had Moonbeam stayed on, I mean, I still would have been like, doing pretty well, but had she stayed on, she might have won.
Just so you know, just to clarify, if anything got cut out on the video thing, I'm not sure if it did or not, but Brandon's trying to guess who's charging more on Cameo for each of these here.
Oh,
yeah. Tom Welling's charging $375. Dean Cain's charging $150. All right, I've got one more, and I want you to think about this one.
I'm gonna think about it.
Funk legend George Clinton or George Santos?
Oh my God! Okay,
both on Cameo. Who's charging more?
Look, I imagine George Santos is not doing so well right now. He's probably charging more.
You think so?
Yeah,
that's correct, but only by $50. George Clinton's charging $200, and George Santos is charging $250.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Look, I would want a Funkadelic themed Cameo immediately.
Yeah. I had never considered
George Santos.
From
George Santos.
Yeah. Ask him to do a George Clinton cameo. I had never thought about George Clinton even being on there. Yeah. He must just be bored.
That's that's kind of the impression that I get from a lot of folks. Mm-hmm. I've seen, especially like during the beginning or like the early stages of Cameo.
Yeah.
You would see people like, I want to say that I've seen Danny DeVito and like folks like that on there. It's just like, man, yeah, I guess Danny in between filming It's Always Sunny, he just needs a little extra, charm in his life.
Well, I think it really hit the ground running during the pandemic whenever people were just cooped up. And so, that might have been the same thing for the people that were there. Like, I just want to kind of do something, talk to people or whatever. So it definitely makes sense, y'all. But man, as we wrap up this episode, Brendan, you were in the lead on that game anyway, so you would have won. But as we wrap this thing up, y'all, let us know. I want to know, what is your nerdy thing? What's your thing that you nerd out over? So anyway, y'all, check this out. We're going to be back here next week for another visit on the Humble Show, y'all. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media accounts as well. We will see y'all back here next week. But until then, stay humble.